Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Unorthodox Vegan. My name is Sean Gold, and this week, episode number 58, we're going to be making stuffed peppers. Yeah, a lot of times I go out for dinner and I don't go to a vegan restaurant. And when I do go out to places, the only thing that they'll serve sometimes that's vegan or anywhere close to it is stuffed peppers. I get very frustrated with that, thinking, what's the big deal? How hard can that be? So I decide, what the heck? Why don't I just make my own stuffed peppers, just see what it's like? So I found a recipe, but give it a try. Never tried this before, but what the heck? The recipe calls for 3 red peppers sliced horizontally, and that's from top to bottom, so you get some of the stem in it, just so it looks nice. It helps to hold it together. We're putting in a chopped onion, putting in some garlic, of course, tofu, a whole 350 grams of extra firm tofu, some an onion, some rice. I've got some soy sauce. I'm going to have some black pepper. I'm going to have some oregano and cumin and chili powder. And for topping, I'm going to be adding in some cheese. I said shredded cheese. I have sliced cheese. I use sliced Gouda all the time, every day for lunch. So I'm going to be having that in there on top just to give it a little extra texture and flavor. Anyway, I'm going to be setting up. The first thing I'm going to be doing is cutting up these peppers and throwing them in the oven. I'll be back in a bit. Well, that was both easier and harder to do than I expected. The easier part was slicing the stem in half, which turned out to be quite easy. The harder part was clearing out the stuff inside. It was a little more challenging because of the way it was cut and keeping that stem on. So what do I know? Anyway, I'm going to spray a little bit of olive oil onto the shells. I've already pressurized this thing, so I'm just going to do a little bit of as I said, olive oil, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top, and just give it a little bit of a little extra flavor, just a tiny little bit of salt, not that much. And I've already heated up the oven. It's at 425 degrees. I'm going to be putting these in the oven for 18 to 20 minutes until they get a nice till they start to get a nice color to them. They'll be slightly tender, and just want to make sure that they've got all of the flavor in there. So I'll be putting them in the oven. Be back in a minute. So while the bell peppers are heating up or baking in the oven, I'm just going to fry up some onions. That was 1 onion and 4 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to fry those up and brown those. Well, now that the onions have browned, I'm going to be crumbling in some tofu. Now, this is beginning. Never done this before, so we'll see how this works. We'll try to get it down into little pieces. All right, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And I'll be putting in 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder. That's a lot of chili powder. Let's see, this is going to be spicy. I might just go with 1 heaping teaspoon of chili powder. A lot of chili powder. Putting in a teaspoon of dried oregano. And a half teaspoon of cumin. Not a big fan of cumin, so I'm going to go a little less than half a teaspoon. There, that should be enough. And some black pepper. That's it. And we'll stir that around, see how that's going. I'm going to break up some of those chunks still in the tofu. Okay, I think that's looking good. Okay, next up is a cup of tomato sauce. Now I have tomato paste. I had it open. I thought, you know what, I'll just use that. And I probably need to put in a little bit more moisture, so I'm going to put in a little bit of water. But I have about a cup here of tomato paste. And I thought that would be probably fine and sufficient. Don't use tomato paste very often, so if I do open up a can and I don't need to use the whole thing, I want to make sure that it's not going to be sitting around too long. So that's what I'm doing here, using it up. And I'm going to put in just a little bit of water. just thin it down just a little bit. And also putting in a cup of rice. Ooh. And let's just see if they're temperature-wise, if they're soft. Well, let's just check that out. Not bad. Well, as you can see, the peppers have been nicely roasted. They're nice and soft. I think that they're the right texture, I believe. And they look good. So I'm just now going to stuff them, and I'm going to put cheese in them. So it's just a matter of putting as much stuffing as you can into them. And it did recommend having large peppers, but let's just see what we can do with these guys. So large peppers, just shove that stuffing right in and get as much packed inside there as possible, because you want as much as you can eat as possible in there. And there we have one stuffed pepper ready to be roasted. Now, in order to roast it, the final roasting, this is the final roast. I'm going to cover it with some tin foil and put this in the oven on a roast for about 15 to 20 minutes. And that's it. I'm going to be serving it. So I'll be doing a taste test. The rest I'm not going to cook right now. I'm not going to be doing that final roast because it's morning time, my time. Don't want to do that too soon. Be back in a bit. Well, here's a big reveal. I've taken it out of the oven where it was roasting, and we have our stuffed pepper. You're going to see how this works, how well this goes. Okay. Take a little bit of that. Make sure I get some stuffing and cheese. Got to put more cheese on top. Being a little cheap on the cheese. Okay. Oh, come on. Get in there. Okay, let's get this up there. Hot. Hot. Oh, that is delicious. Oh, and it's nice texture. The crunchiness of the pepper is still there, so it's not too soft. Cheese does help a lot too. Wow. Oh yeah, that is so much better than in the restaurant stuff and cruise ships that I've been on, which have that tend to be the stuff, the only thing that they'll serve that if you're vegan. So this is far better, and they could do a better job, is what I'm saying. So that's it for this week's episode of the Unorthodox Vegan. We made stuffed peppers. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can reach me on my email address up here. It's vrcompanions@gmail.com. And of course, please follow me on the YouTube channel. That's www.youtube.com/the_unorthodox_vegan. Until next time, have yourself a wonderful day. Bye for now.